Welcome back to another video. Today I'm going to be talking to closers who are just tired of being stuck in a vehicle that won't make them millions, right? Now, before I get started, I have a quick question for people who've been keeping up with this series. I was calling this series the Growth Creator Series, but I actually want to rename it to Cooking with Serge. Why? Because I'm just starting to enjoy these breakdowns and I think that you guys are loving it. So instead of just calling it something that's boring, let's call it Cooking with Serge. If you agree, please leave a comment below. Now, why do I want to talk to closers within this video? Some of our best clients have been closers in the past, primarily because closers have this skill that is so valuable. That skill is the ability to get a stranger wanting to make a decision to change their life. It's the gap between someone having somewhat some interest to them making the commitment to change their life. And that skill is a function of understanding psychology, is understanding the essentially engineer behaviors into people so that they do things that short term may feel hard to do, but long term can change someone's life. And so many companies, so many founders don't have that skill. Most founders have the skill to see an insight or see something that the market doesn't see and to build services and to build products. And they expect that the market is going to just say, oh yeah, please, here's my money. No, it never works like that in business. In business, even the great products still require a little bit of push. Okay. And whenever we work with closers and help them kind of like pivot to a more leveraged vehicle, it's just so easy because they already know how to convert. And now we can just focus on getting them attention, helping back with their back end, and they just start printing money. Okay. Now, one thing I want to talk about, it is not just because our clients, some of our best clients are closers, it is because of this insight. This summer, we were building a sales agency. Why were we building a sales agency? Because it's one of the most leveraged vehicle right now. I know guys who are making $1 million a month from a sales agency where they help a client make $1 million a month and they take 15-20% of it. And if you don't need to have a lot of clients to start making $500,000 a month with a fractional sales agency. Now, what led me to building a sales agency? What led me to going deep into this model of fractional sales, building an entire sales agency from scratch, right? Like what you guys are seeing is we selected the niche, did research, looked at pricing, looked at the deliverables. It's because I was talking to my first closer, Hassan, and he told me that he was making $40,000 a month from one single client. And when I heard that, I was like, okay, there is something here, right? So today, what I'm about to walk you guys through is essentially how I think about going from closer to making 6 figures a month profit by jumping into a more leveraged vehicle. Hassan was my first closer. He was an e-com agency owner who bought our first program back in 2021, and I ended up hiring him to become a closer because he was the ideal client, and I always pick people who understand my market over people who have great sales skills, because when you understand the prospects, when you have been in the same shoes as them, it's just so easy to make them buy, right? And now Hassan is chilling. I think he just had his first 6-figure month, and it's just beautiful to see everyone who's gone from working with me to just flourishing, and it's just beautiful. Now, let's get straight into it. Why won't the closer vehicle make you millions? It is important to understand why this model is capped. Now, are there closers who make 50K per month, even 100 grand a month? Yes. But how many are there? How many industries can you make 6 figures a month as a closer, closing a lot of deals, right? You have to probably be in enterprise sales, selling deals that are worth millions of dollars, because you're not going to sell a 10K package and make 100 grand a month. And even if you do, it's because you're probably the only closer in that business. Because if you're working in a really heavy sales focused company, you have to understand that they're going to have a bunch of closers competing with you, competing over sales calls, competing over leads, and you're going to be left with leads and prospects that don't even want to buy, right? So it's really hard in today's kind of like market to really make a lot of money. Our first $500,000 a month, I remember, because you guys can see here, I had 2 closers. And look at how much money I pay them. $60,000 in a month. That means that each closer made around $30,000 cash. And that's because I only had 2 closers to make 600 grand a month. Okay? You have to understand that most companies don't have this type of efficiency. Most of them have to spend a shit ton of money on ads. They have to beg the prospects to buy. They have to offer funding. We weren't doing none of that. And that's why closers were taking home a lot of money. So in a landscape where you don't have that luxury anymore, or you're not working with a company that has a really great personal brand, what should you do? In my opinion, this is what I would do. I want to just get the experience. Go work for someone, and preferably you've already worked on an offer, right? And you've seen everything, and maybe you've made your first $10,000 a month. I want you to allow yourself to quit your job once you've validated and once you've acquired enough experience to know that you can make 10K, 20K a month in any company that you work for, okay? I just want you to get the confidence. Do not work as a closer as, oh, this is how I'm gonna get rich forever. No, because in my opinion, with AI, I know a lot of closers are like, oh, AI will never replace us, AI will never replace us, but please, trust me. We've been building things internally, and I've been doing a lot of research, and I can promise you, there is a genius working in a basement who's working tirelessly to replace you, to install the objections, to install all the IP of the offer that you're working on, to install the process and the reason why someone buy, the emotions you have to invoke, like everything. And once they validate it once, everyone is cooked. And when I say cooked, I mean cooked. Do you understand how expensive it is to give 2 people in a business $60,000 a month? This is one of the craziest expense in a business. It is crazy to give. And if you guys have actually worked in a great business, you guys know that as soon as a company starts scaling, they drop your commission from 15% PIF when you close a client as a paid in full to maybe 12% and then eventually 10%. That's what I've done in my company because I'm like, it doesn't make sense to give someone 15% of an entire deal. It is crazy, right? Closers are the biggest expense, in my opinion, for companies. And that's why knowing how these engineers are working, as soon as they see the opportunity to replace a closer with an AI system, we're all cooked if you're in closing, right? So that's what I would say, like, don't bet your life on this thing. Instead, I want you to understand that this here allows you to enter a more leveraged vehicle. What is it? I'll show you. In my opinion, the closers that we've worked with, we all suggested them 2 ways, right? We require them to go into a productized version, a productized service where they sell systems on the front end and then partnerships on the back end. I'll explain why, both and not all in one type of process. So essentially what you want to do is you want to have an infrastructure, system, and a playbook that you sell on the front end. So it could be the company that you are working with was making $200,000 a month, okay? And you had knowledge on how they would get leads, how they would, book appointments, okay? How they would close. But you have to also understand that within each metric, there is a system, there is a process. For each single function, there was a system and a process. Right? For even selling, there is a system and a process. So you have to understand that you have this knowledge on how to do what? On how to make 200 grand a month. Right? All this here, all this experience, and that's only if you're curious, because I know some closers who only focus on closing. So if you're not getting curious on the systems and processes, on how the business you're working for gets leads, on what systems they use to book appointments or to confirm, to get a high show up rate, the process that the setters use to get them to book a call, and the systems and processes on how to close and cash collect the most amount of money. If you're not learning about this, then you have no insurance policy. This is your insurance policy, learning all of this stuff. You don't learn more than just closing, you are cooked. Even I can't protect you. I can't help you. If all you know is just to close, then please go get another job. But do not try to make more money by only knowing how to close, right? It's commoditized at this point. Everybody's a closer now. Just like setters are commoditized today, there's so many closers every day. I think I just received, just today alone, I'm going to go in my requests right now on Instagram. I'm going to show you. Guys, this is no lie. 1 second. So I just went to my Instagram, and this is a message I got yesterday. Hey, what's up, Serge? Been watching YouTube for a minute. I recently applied for the closer role on Upwork, right? I get these a minimum of one every day. Now, I don't need to hire a closer every day, guys. I think right now we have only 2 closers in the business, and that's it. That's it. I don't need more. So what about everyone who's a closer but who doesn't have a job, right? That's because the only thing they're bringing to the table is just closing. But the problem is, for a company like mine that has a personal brand and that has trust, I don't need more closers. What am I going to do? I don't have room, right? So that's why the way that you stand out is you become smarter at more things than the average closer. So knowledge is really important, okay? The next thing that you want to do is you want to turn this into a protocol. What do we mean by protocol? I mean something like this. So I'll show you guys. When we're scaling companies, we have specific playbooks that we install. It's made up of systems. So it could be like how to track calls. It could be like GHL systems. It could be end of day reports on triagers, setters, closers. It could be a calculator flow that we use to audit a business, right? So this is a bunch of playbooks, right? On how we essentially convert and essentially scale a business when it comes to their sales processes. You need to have this playbook on hand. You're not going to go to a company and say, I can close, and ask them for $20,000. No one is going to give you money. But if you come to them and say, hey, I have this entire playbook of systems and processes and preferably talent, if you can add the talent part, you're going to be a legend on how to make 40K a day, 50K a day, 60K a day, 70K a day, sell $18,000 packages and make $500,000 a month. Which CEO is not going to want to hire you, right? Most closers are wanting to get a job and they're just selling their time. Your time is meaningless. What I want from you is leverage, is when I hire you, can I experience 6 years worth of experience by just hiring you? Can I acquire leverage? It's like a deal. I don't want to hire you and get less from hiring you and lose money or time. So that's why for me, the first thing that we tell our closers who come work with us is like, do you know how to scale a company, right? Do you understand the systems? Do you understand the processes? Or do you just know how to close an objection handle? If that's all you know, then what we like to do is we like to tell them, hey, you're going to have to license our infrastructures so that you can have something to bring to the table, right? That's going to make you stand out from everyone. And then on the back end, this is where you offer partnerships, right? This is where you say, hey, in exchange of a 20% deal, in exchange of 20% or 25%, 15% of what we cash collect, let's say we're actually doing done for you management, right? You can actually ask a percentage. This is what Hassan does, right? He gets paid, he builds sales teams and gets paid on what the sales teams produces, right? And that's how he gets paid $40,000 a month. You're not going to give a closer $40,000 a month from doing nothing. But if someone comes in and builds a sales team, implements a sales playbook, the systems, then $40K a month is pretty worth it, right? Now, I want to go over who should you go after, how should you structure your fulfillment, how should you structure your deals, how should you go about client acquisition, and what is there to look out for when it comes to the future with AI, right? So check this out. In my opinion, there's 2 types of clients that should be going after. There's the clients that you build and release for. So you build and release the systems and processes, right? And the reason why you want to build and release and not sell them partnerships, most people make a mistake with this. They give everyone a partnership offer where they're like, hey, in exchange of 20%, let's work with you. And anyone who accepts that deal, they tend to want to work with them. But you have to understand, the wrong client, it doesn't matter how good of a deal you have with them, they're going to cost you money. They're going to cost you money. A client that doesn't have a personal brand, a client that doesn't have money for ads, a client that doesn't have a budget to implement systems, a client that doesn't have a team, a client that doesn't have a good offer, you're cooked. It doesn't matter how good you are at sales. It does not make sense. They need to have everything figured out. So now, does that mean that you shouldn't be going after a segment of the marketplace that doesn't have those things in place? No. And that's what I've been telling people. The idea here is you need to have a productized front-end product, right? What I mean by this is your front end should be going after companies that are doing 10K to be honest, 10K to 50K a month, right? Anybody in between here, you shouldn't be giving them your time. You should not be offering them services. You shouldn't even be putting them on a partnership. Instead, what you should be doing is say, hey, I can come in and implement this system for, I don't know, 10K, 20K, right? We're going to come in, build all the systems, build the playbooks, build the scripts, but you have to implement it and manage it yourself. Now, to the businesses that are doing 50K, $500,000 a year or more, 50K a month or more, these, I want you to get a setup fee, can still be like this, the same fee, okay? Plus, let's say 20%. The reason why you want to do this with them is because they're already leveraged. All you need to do to scale their business, to 10x their business, is better systems, more inputs, which you should be handling, right? But for these, just setup fee, one-time setup fee, okay? And the reason why this business is good to have on top of the partnership deal is because when you have a lot of clients, I'm actually going to show you guys the business model. So this is how I personally look at it. You have the first offer, build and release offer on the front end where you charge 25K. Let's say you're going after companies that are already doing like $1 million a year. What this will allow you to do is this front end capital will allow you to hire a better team that will be able to implement better systems, processes for your clients. But here's where it gets even crazier. Since this is a productized service, that means you can onboard 5 new clients a month, 10 new clients a month if you get really good at operations. But what you have to understand is that when you start onboarding 5 to 10 clients a month, you get data. You get data on so many offers and you see what works. So now when you're working with your partners on the back end offer, which is the fractional sales, where maybe you own the sales team and you get paid a percentage of sales, they're never going to leave you because you have infinitely more data and you learn faster than they can on their own. So this actually, your front end offer becomes leverage for you because it provides you not just the money, but it provides you data because you get to see so many companies at scale that are iterating on your systems and they even improve the system itself. So when you go back to your clients, you're like, hey guys, this month we learned that this show up messaging or this system or this AI calling agent gets this client better results. Let's implement it to all the partners. They will never want to leave you. But people who only have this partnership offer, they don't get enough data, not fast enough. Okay? So a productized front end offer, it's not just the fact that it's more leveraged, it's the fact that it provides you with data. And that's how I personally built our first business, right? We collect data from a lot of companies and in so many niches. And then when people come to work with us, they would rather work with us, not necessarily because I'm the most handsome person, but because I'm the person who's focused on collecting the most data in more niches. And instead of just running a coaching business where I just put people in school and give them information and group calls, I spent multiple 6 figures a month on payroll so that every single day someone follows up with the companies and be like, hey, can you please tell us how much your lead cost is today? Can you please tell us what your show up rate is today? Can you please tell us what your offer is today? So that once we collect enough case studies and data, we actually can help our clients iterate faster. Okay? So please, I'm emphasizing this point because it is important to understand it. Data is the future. Data is the future. It's not just knowing how to book a call or how to close a deal. No. But do you know how to do it in so many niches? That's the key thing. Okay? Now, fulfillment, same thing. Build and release, So you build it once. It could be a GHL snapshot. It could be certain playbooks, certain systems, and you just implement it to people's companies. Like for us, a lot of the things that we built, let's look at the sales system. All of this can be plug and played into companies really fast. And even if it's still plug and played, it's still tremendously valuable for these businesses because it allows them to control and have data. If they don't have data, they're cooked. So they're still willing to pay us a lot of money. So you build and release it. And then the fractional sales, you essentially just run the team, manage the team, review calls, train the calls, blah, 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 all that good stuff. Okay, I've already talked about deal structure, so that's that. Client acquisition, I think you should have a YouTube channel, and I think you should have a community, and I think you should have ads, and one setter should be enough to get you to 50K, 100K a month, in my opinion. If you do content, like the content that I'm doing right now, breaking down an entire kind of like business model, is gonna get you the right people. Like if you spend time breaking down companies where maybe it's not clients that you've helped, but it's clients that you've studied or businesses that you've studied, and say, hey, this is how a company is doing $1 million a month. This is how a company is doing $500,000 a month. But you focus on breaking down the sales process, you're going to start attracting people who are looking for exactly for that. And all you have to do is just say, hey, there's a CTA, book a call with me or join my community to get access to the assets, and they're going to want to work with you. Okay? This is how we're scaling most companies today. We built this AI system to essentially scrape YouTube and find viral content in all these niches so that we can help our clients acquire attention for free. If you're having to start by running ads, you're cooked. Because ads, everyone is competing for the 3% that wants to buy and that is in market right away. For us, we like to use YouTube, which is an intent-based platform where people are looking for answers, and we're the one giving them the answers. And since we gave them the answers before we even asked them to book a call, they end up trusting us more, right? Now, the future with AI. I don't know what to say here because things are changing so fast that I can't say anything. But what I think I can tell you is if you do not pivot to having a business model that generates you, that allows you to collect data, and data is a function of scale. It's a function of having a lot of customers. It's a function of having a lot of clients. Someone with 2 clients does not have data. It is not enough data for it to be valuable for anyone. So you need to have a business model that allows you to have so many people in your ecosystem doing things and you learning from the things they're doing. Okay? Right now, as a closer, you are at risk. And to be honest, I don't really care if you believe me or not, but you are at risk. Because someone who has maybe built a crazy sales coaching business or someone who has 500 closers is eventually going to put all the sales call recordings of the close that closed at the highest PIF rate, at the highest cash collected rate, and is going to put it into an AI model and language model and ask it, hey, can you please build me the best sales script based on these calls that closed? Because they have the highest show up rate, they have the highest cash collected rate, and they have the shortest sales cycle. Okay? And then the AI is going to build the new script. And then what's going to happen next is going to be, okay, perfect. Can you please create me, or maybe the business owner is going to be like, hey, who can please build me an AI agent that can use this script to close people without having a human? Okay? You're going to eventually have AI avatars. Let me show you. So this is an AI avatar that we built for one of our clients' ad campaigns. But picture this. I want you to picture yourself, this avatar with the best sales script, right? With all the objection that a business would have. And please tell me this. Do you believe that a year from now, that this avatar will be less performing, will be worse than it is today, or do you think that it will be better? And I want you to ask yourself, when it becomes better to a point that it can almost, you can't differentiate it from it being a human, do you think that your job as a closer will still be valuable? Do you still think that people will be willing to pay you $10,000 a month, $15,000, $20,000 a month, when they can have a bot technology, something that costs 5 cents a minute, 10, 30 cents a minute, or $20, $50 a month to take all the calls? Look at this.
Imagine this, being everywhere online every day without actually doing the work yourself. Sound impossible? It's not. And yes, I'm an AI avatar telling you this, because that's exactly the point. This entire video,
So when I'm making this video, this is why I'm making this video. I believe that the game is changing, and I'd love for people to be super aware of what's happening. And this is not just about switch a business model and have more leverage. I didn't even intend to talk about AI in this video, but I really want to make you guys aware that the world is changing. And if you're the person who's left behind and the last person to understand that the only thing that's going to save you is the data, then it's going to be a tough space for you to live in. The future is going to be a hard place to live in. Okay? If you haven't seen what we're building on AI, if you want to learn more, click the link below. But oh my God, is it a scary place? Like even I've made millions. I've made millions and millions of dollars. When 3.5 years ago, I was working a 9 to 5, making $30K a year. But today is the first time where I'm like, whoa, what's going on, right? So anyway, if you're a closer and you kind of like want help pivoting to this model of essentially having a productized version where you build systems, you release them into companies, and then you retain some, come work with us. It's not cheap, around 12 to 15 grand for us to get started. But we have a Black Friday offer going, so you can always click the link below and look at our offer and how we can help you. And if it makes sense, come and work with us. Let's go into solar. Let's go into HVAC. Let's go into coaching businesses. Let's go into agency businesses. All these businesses are pretty bad at sales systems. So why don't you come and change your life while you collect enough data from them to be able to build an agent, and you can monetize that AI agent without having to do anything. Anyway, hopefully this video was helpful. Cooking with Serge, episode number 3. Bye-bye.